Our first reader tonight is Niles Reddick, the author of Nautical Drifting Too Far from the Shore, two collections, Reading the Coffee Grounds and Roadkill and Other Oddities, plus a novella, Lead Me Home. His work has been featured in over 450 publications, including the Saturday Evening Post, PIF, New Reader Magazine, Fourth Magazine, Citron Review, and the Boston Literary Magazine. He's a 3-time Pushcart and 2-time Best Micro nominee and works for the University of Memphis.
Hey, thanks, Paul. I'm gonna shrink everything so I can read this on screen. I think I'm just gonna read one piece, Paul. This is a creative nonfiction piece that I did a couple of days ago. So I hope there's no mistakes in it, but there probably are. Hope you enjoyed it. It's a depressing little piece. The title is My Imagination is Anesthesia.
Excuse me,
Folded.
Miles.
Huh?
I just want to get an opinion here.
Yeah.
Like when I leave everybody up here, or do you want just the reader to be shown?
No, it's fine. Can you hear me okay?
Even if you were just a reader, we could hear you.
Hold on one second. Where's the?
You probably should mute everybody so there's no background noise.
But you can hear me okay, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Did you hear the title? My Imagination is Anesthesia. Are you ready,
Yeah.
Paul?
I'm ready.
Folding chairs from the funeral home line the wide row of the hardware store you managed and fan out by the counter where the funeralist is perched on a stool like a parrot in a cage. Her hands are clasped together and she waits until everyone is seated before she begins. On one side of the aisle are bins with bolts, screws and nails, and on the other side are PVC pipes, flushers, and ball cocks. There's no preacher trying to save those you left behind, no music or hymns from a choir singing you to heaven, and no casket with you wearing your dark brown suit you squeezed in for our grandmother's funeral, or your body emptied and pumped full of formaldehyde on display for one last look. Your organs were harvested, skin taken for burn victims, eyes to help a blind boy, and vitals to keep others alive. I listened to the funeralist mimic about yin and yang, peace and love from a Lennon song, and memories I can't seem to conjure. The funeralist is wearing linen slacks, a silk blouse with flowers, and has teased and sprayed hair to cover her bald spot. I wonder what she's being paid for this pathetic show. I also wonder if your adopted children will remember you, if our elderly parents will ever recover from the blow, if they will become addicted to the painkillers they swallow that don't alleviate your loss, and why you were the first of the 4 of us to leave because your heart couldn't take the nicotine and alcohol anymore. I think about you when I take my cocktail of prescriptions every morning, the pill to keep my blood pressure low, the pill to keep my blood sugar down, the pill to keep my thyroid even. And I wonder if I stopped, how long it would take before I would see you, or even if I would see you. After the service, we eat barbecue and gulp iced tea as if it will fill our emptiness and keep us nourished. We sit outside in the lumber yard, pallets of pine and oak chopped down in their prime, cut and planed and stacked in rows on pallets for spec homes and apartment buildings in urban sprawl. We're at a loss for words, but we have a few laughs at memories relatives and friends share. You're jumping a train to get a ride through town because you didn't want to walk. You're hitting a deer that came through the windshield and could have killed you when you were a teenager, but you were more upset about the damage to your car. And your love of tailgating, guzzling beer, and going to football games. We say our goodbyes and drive home talking about how good it was to see cousins who didn't know what to say and are secretly happy it wasn't them, when they have the same genes and live exactly as you did. I wonder if I might run into a scarred person one morning at Walmart who has some of your skin, stop at a traffic light and feel your presence because the woman next to me in the Volkswagen has your heart, or see a boy at the YMCA in the pool who has your hazel and wicked cat eyes with a speck of yellow watching me do laps and thinks I am familiar. I've seen television shows about those kinds of experiences after all, and whether the scenarios become reality or not, my imagination is anesthesia. Thank you.
Thank you, Niles.
Nice.
Very moving, Niles.
Thank you.
That's incredible, Niles.
Thank you.
Love the title, Niles.
Sandra Arnold is our next reader. She's an award-winning writer who lives in New Zealand. She's the author of 5 books, including The Ash, the Well, and the Bluebell, Macaro Press, New Zealand, and Soul Etchings, Retreat West Books, UK. Her short fiction has been widely published and anthologized internationally. She has received nominations for the Best Small Fictions, Best Microfictions, and the Pushcart Prize. She has a PhD in creative writing from Central Queensland University, Australia. Sandra.
Thanks, Paul. I'll just read 2 short flashes tonight. One of them, the first one, is really very tongue-in-cheek and ironic, and the second one is quite sad. The first one was because in my writing group, people were complaining about not being accepted for various literary magazines, and some of the stories they read were absolutely awful, so they couldn't understand why. Anyway, so that just stayed in my mind, and I wrote this. It's a bit rude. It's called The Shit Lit. After graduating with an MFA, Magnolia failed to get the story she'd written as part of her dissertation into a single literary magazine. The 20th rejection suggested she take a creative writing course to learn how to write. After she'd scrubbed the coffee splashes off the wall and swept up the broken shards of cup scattered across the floor, after she'd uncurled from her fetal position on the sofa and dried her cat's tear-soaked fur, Magnolia stood upright, squared her shoulders, and decided to start her own literary magazine. She called it The Shit Lit and advertised on Twitter for boundary-breaking stories with verve and flair. 2 weeks later, her inbox was overflowing. With tongue wedged in cheek, she published 10 of the shittiest. The magazine received 3,000 likes on Facebook and 5,000 on Twitter. When The Shit Lit won a prize, Magnolia was interviewed on radio about the secret of its success. "I publish shit," she said. The interviewer roared with laughter and announced she was cutting edge. The first reviewer of The Shit Lit described the contents of the mag as a load of crap. He changed his tune when other reviewers heaped groundbreaking, visionary, trailblazing, innovative plaudits on the magazine. He backtracked on radio that he'd read the stories without analyzing them in the depth they deserved. Now that he had, he said, he saw nuances and insights that he hadn't noticed in a hasty reading. He added ingenious to the swelling chorus of praise. Okay, oops. And the second one, which is a bit sad, is called Whistle Down the Wind. And that one came to me one day when I was taking the dog by the river, as stories often do. And I wrote it more or less a stream of consciousness or in one complete sentence with no punctuation. So I will punctuate it as I read, or otherwise it won't make much sense. It's called Whistle Down the Wind. Every spring, the woman digs her garden, wearing the riding boots her daughter wore the day she galloped her horse through the river, his hooves shooting spray high into the air, each drop twisting and turning in the sunlight and glittering like gems, and the horse's white mane flying in the wind, and the rider's red hair flaring like flames as she raced her horse towards a steep bank that the horse jumped with ease, his hooves flicking up the bare earth as he landed at the top, with the girl laughing and whooping as they raced towards a higher bank, and the sweat glistening on the horse's flanks, and clouds of breath streaming from his nostrils, and horse and rider flying in perfect harmony. And each spring, when the woman plunges her spade into the earth, she remembers every detail the farmer told her about standing on his tractor, watching a horse and rider galloping through the river, and the sheer heart-stopping beauty of the frothing water and the clattering hooves trying to get a grip on the highest bank, and the scattering of earth and the whistling wind and the startled birds, and the girl's laughter as she went flying up and up, and the horse's whinnying, and then the silence and the pervading scent of wildflowers. And the woman feels each beat of the story pulsating through her veins and in her heart when she wears her daughter's boots to dig in the garden so she can sow the wildflower seeds that grow so hardy they withstand the strongest wind, and bees and butterflies will cover the flowers, and birds will scatter the seeds until every last bit of bare empty earth in her garden is filled with the scent and sound and color. That's it.
Thank you, Sandra.
Thank you.
Annie Bean has written 2 poetry collections and published flash fiction in print and online. The most recent publication is Messages from Under a Pillow by A3 Press, a winner and finalist of the LISP, a Pushcart nominee, and other competitions. She is an English translator of Tibetan Buddhist scriptures for 84,000 and Vikramashila Foundation, and reported for 17th Karmapa Ogoyan Trinley Torre. Annie, I'm sorry I murdered that.
Thank you. It's no problem. Thank you. I'm going to read you some excerpts from my recent publication, Messages from Under the Pillow by A3 Press. And these short messages are part of a larger novel that I'm in the process of revising and redoing. The first message. You ask me why I never talk about myself. I come from where one chooses silence, a place where you reach your hands toward the sky, although you're in it, where mountains rim limitless blue, snow crests cut jags into ether, lace the vault of space with peaks. Lie on your back in spring, and you will hear birds fly and a snow leopard leap over scree. In winter, you bend into a blizzard, mouth shut, eyes down as wind pelts your cheeks. When I was little, I lay in grass waiting for flowers to bloom, to smell their scent float across the valley, for petals to blow across my face. I come from a land where sound is sacred, Every word reflects your character, enriches you, where mantras protect your mind from words that curse your actions, where the word name and character and mark are known as 10. Unknown soldiers arrived. They told us we were bad, backward, needed liberating. We needed their language to advance. They have begun to raise ours. I'm soothed by watching and listening about your life. It gives me ease about mine. The fifth message. You ask me, have you ever thought you didn't know who you are? My uncle showed me how to draw Buddha's eyes. I'm going to draw them for you with a brush. Tell me what you see. He dipped the brush into black ink. I watched him draw the upper eyelid with 2 dips in an angled curve. He made the right lid, then the left. He made a thin fold above the right lid and then the left one. He finished. Do you see your reflection in the eyes? Can you see yourself small? Don't take your eyes off them. I saw ink drying on paper, and when sunlight touched the paper before the eyes dried, I saw my face in Buddha's eyes, and then all of who I am. My uncle patted my head. Ah, you saw him, and he saw you. All's well. I send you a drawing of Buddha's eyes. The 7th message. You ask, can we be close when we're far apart? There's no distance between this paper and the thought that moves my hand to write these words. I enclose my messages to you in physical objects, rice paper, blue ink, wrapped cloth, but the words you read, what you hear aloud or in whisper, will be closer than me next to you. When you read this, the words will travel farther than I ever can. From their presence on this page, they'll lift to enter your eyes, ready to sing the tone of an owl under moonlight. Just as the moon has phases, so do we, in shade or light, in darkness or day. I'll always be there, always. The words point to where I am. When I look at the moon, I know we will see the same moon in a different part of the sky. We aren't far apart. We will meet again. Thank you.
Paul, you're muted. We can't hear you.
How's that? I'm not muted now.
You're good now.
Gloria Mindak is editor of Savannah Barber Press, author of 6 books of poetry. Her most recent, Ash, Glass Lyre Press, won 5 book awards. Gloria has been translated and published into 11 languages. Her work recently was published in Gargoyle, the James Dick Review, Set to Western Voices, and Ibbotson Street. In 2017 and 18, she was Poet Laureate in Somerville, Mass. Lo, you're up.
Okay, thanks, Paul. Hi, everybody. This first one is a poem, but it's being made into a story, but it wasn't ready for tonight. It's called The Blindfold. Blindfold me so I don't see the damage, the dead bodies or blood on the ground. Wrap the blindfold tightly around my eyes so I don't see the Russian tanks. Puncture my ears so I don't hear the sirens that a missile is coming. Tie my hands together so I can't take a life. God would not want me to do this. Bind my legs so I won't run and flee from my home. Stop my heart from feeling loss, sadness, and grief before it overwhelms me. The soldiers are killing my family and friends, slitting their throats and burning them. I know this. Remove my blindfold, untie my hands, give me my hearing back, give me a weapon. And this next one, I was in a very strange mood when I wrote it. It still needs work, but I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with it yet. But I wanted to read it. It's the man who collected eyelashes. If you saw Ricky, you would keep your distance. He had greasy red hair, missing front teeth, and his eyes had darkness behind them. His clothes were dirty, baggy. Women would stare and move away quickly. Ricky loved the chase. He would try to get as close and say, "Come on, little darling, how about a kiss on the cheek?" Women reported him, but nothing ever happened. Ricky decided drunk women were the best to grab after they left the bar. Ricky would tie them up and with tweezers pull their eyelashes out. One at a time, gagged, they would try to scream. Their shoes were removed just for the heck of it, just because he could. After he pulled the eyelashes, he would let them go. He collected the eyelashes and put them in envelopes. He had to do this to many women to get an envelope full. Sometimes there would be false eyelashes, which would be pulled off all at once. He called this double lashing. Some women had their eyelashes dyed blue or maroon, but he liked just plain black the best. Some eyelashes were straight, some had a slight curl. He enjoyed pulling them out slowly, leaving a bare eyelid. It was a turn on. Ricky did not know what was wrong with him. He had no feelings or remorse. His social affect was bland, except when they screamed or became emotional. Then he was enraged. He just liked to play games in his head, believing that each one of them loved him, wanted him, but he was wrong. The police never did catch Ricky. He was too smart and moved around. Later, he discovered if he cleaned himself up and acted like a charmer, women could be picked up. Did not matter if they were prostitutes or housewives. Trust had to be established. He now was a changed man, in looks only. Ricky was persistent and would try to up the number of eyelashes collected every week. On Sunday, he would sit at a table and count them, getting angry if some stuck to him or other surfaces. It was not easy counting eyelashes. One night, he pulled out his own eyelashes, loving how it felt. It was painful. After all, the eyelid is sensitive. When done, he put his in an envelope and shoved it in a drawer, then took out a .45 and blew his head off. Little did he know, some of the eyelashes did fall on the floor and were mixed with his blood. When the police arrived after getting a call about the sound of a gunshot, they did not find him. Legend says at 11 p.m., you can see a red-haired man walking around town saying, "Eyelashes, eyelashes, eyelashes," but he could no longer pluck them. Poor Ricky, doomed at only yearning now, a ghost. Oh, I forgot to tell you. Ricky has a son named Chester. He eats eyelashes, says they tickle his stomach. Thank you.
Wow.
Oh, that's weird.
Thank you, Glenn. Linda Kleinbub is a curator and host of Fahrenheit Open Mic, founder of Pen Pal Poets, and editor of Pink Trees Press. Linda was one of 6 local poets invited to read at the America's Poetry Festival of New York 2021. She's hosted readings at the Playhouse Theater, New York City Poetry Festival, 6 BC Botanical Garden, and Black and White. She's published The Best American Poetry, Brooklyn Rail, The Observer, Sensitive Skin Magazine, Yahoo and Life, and Live Magazine. Her first full-length book of poetry, Cover Charge, is an Unbearables title from Autonomedia. Follow her on Instagram to see her published work. Linda.
Thank you very much. I'm so happy to be here. This is my very first book. It was 12 years of writing and I finally have something in print and I'm so happy about it. Do we have up to 10 minutes, Paul? Because that's what I was told. Is that correct?
What was your question?
Up to 10 minutes? Is that the
Yes.
reading? Okay. All right. The first poem, I'm a poet, so I want to read some poems for you. The first poem is an abecedarian and it's called Markings on the Wall. Astronomical charts, born under a moonless sky, cosmos ignited the pyre. Daddy said it was so hot Earth could have been on fire. Funny how we let ghosts of childhood hide out in bedroom closets. Imagination carried us to Jupiter and beyond, but we kept looking over our shoulders. Mark time on the moon before night rolled to dawn. Oxygen in our blood, purple galaxies and meteorites outthirst. Revolving on this planet, synchronicity brings us together in one universe, tilting this vex of harmony. Weekend warrior extracting xenon from the night sky. Your lantern is fueled by yellow zinnia flowers. Thank you. The next poem is called Chores and it's after Louise Glick. It's not the rain. I know it. It's these birds that make that noise. I hear them. That noise does not cease, like your expectations of me, always wanting more. That noise as I go through the motions on that old bed of ours. In my head, it is your laundry I do tonight. The heavy load, shoving your soiled garments into the machine, watching the gyrations, your spin cycle. Oh, those damn birds, their caw, caw, caw. How can I compose myself in this clamoring silence? This poem is called Be My Garden. I need to cleanse myself, dig myself into the dirt, sleep with daffodil bulbs, breathe earth. I remember where last season's tomatoes grew, where the strawberry patch sent its runners through the hot peppers and the eggplants. I need to feel you again, to know you like I know the dirt in my garden. I'll rake last season's leaves from you, fertilize you, rejuvenate you. I want to introduce you to the praying mantis and the ladybugs so they could defend you from parasites. I want you soil ready so I could dig my hands in deep, plant a fragile seedling, water it, and watch it grow. This poem is called It Lives in the Basement. Loneliness crept up the stairs, stood in a corner, observed the situation, searched for the easiest to infiltrate. Curled around her unknown, smoke unseen, loneliness holds her tight. She thinks its warmth is comforting. Quickly, she's left abandoned, alone, trying to make snow angels at midnight. This poem is called Everything Old, New Again. Late night, city lights, lonely haunts, sticky floors, don't bother us. We grew up in old New York with territorial subway rats whose turf was platforms, not tracks. Today we dine in restaurants that survived old school city days. We drink in dive bars, cling to a dying past. This night in a reborn Broadway theater, we marvel at chandeliers and ceiling artwork. We tangle past shell-shocked picture-taking tourists, gawking Times Square's blazing lights, stepping as one. Out of my element on Theater Row, my dive bar companion knows Jimmy's Corner. We squeeze in, raise a glass, clink, we are home. This is called Missing. Prel shampoo you left in my bathroom, even after I asked you to take it with you. I don't know why I'm telling you this. Now that that green shampoo is gone, I have to confess, I saved the lock of your hair. Sometimes I take it out. It smells like you. This is called Pull Me Up, and it's after Ellen Mandel and Michael Lyton. We'll never be them, musicians romancing an audience at Cornelia Street Cafe. We'll never be that romantic couple singing in harmony. You don't play guitar, hardly sing. I never learned to play piano, only sang in church choir. All the relationships we ever had can never live up to the handsomest man in the world and his wife. A man who whistles and plays guitar while she entices the keyboard smiling. They share a magic that we'll never know, a magic I doubt we ever felt from any love we ever knew. Missed our ship, neither lucky to be where we should be. Back on our little piece of dirt, after a night of heartbreaks, I reach my hand to you. Will you pull me out of my forsaken garden? Pull me back to that cloud we survive on? Pull me up. I long to see the sun. Pull me up. And this will be my last poem, and it's called Friendly Competition. I remember the games we played, strip poker, twister, and life, but soon we became knock'em sock'em robots, and battleship ruled the course. You were knock hockey, and I was looking for Barbie's dream house. I was just trying to connect, but you scrabbled my heart. Our mystery date soon became a charade. You boggled my mind. Our love was taboo. You left me without a clue. You were an action figure. I was a paper doll. It was supposed to be a quick game of blackjack, but life is a slow moving chess game. The next move is yours. Thank you, everybody. I'm so happy to be here. Find my book. I'll put information in the chat. Thank you.
Excellent, Linda. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you, Paul.
I've been listening to you read your poems for like 5 years now. Enjoyed them.
I started writing classes in 2010 after always writing, and yeah, I've been taking classes, and then got my MFA in 2014, and now I got a book. Hooray. All right, thank you.
Tracy Mullins is a nonfiction book editor by day. She's enjoying the resurrecting the young girl who loves stories. She has been published more than 60 times in 4 flash fiction anthologies: Flash Fiction Magazine, Monopoly, Fictive Dream, Bending Genres, Flash Boulevard, Cabinet of Heat, Potato Soup Journal, Spelk, Bright Flash Literary Review, Macromic, Blink Inc., Ellipsis, Scene, and many others. She was a 2-time finalist in the London Independent Story Prize competition. Tracy.
Hey, everybody. I'm going to read a creative nonfiction piece about one of my favorite people. It's called The Warrior and the Fisher Girl. My grandpa whispered through life, puffs of conversation here, the scuff of a slipper there. During football season, he sank into the folds of his recliner, a battered transistor radio pressed to his ear, and the TV on mute so he wouldn't bother anyone. He cut the grass with an old-fashioned push mower lest he disturb the neighbors, and he always started the Oldsmobile with the garage door down before rolling, ghost-like, down Olive Street. When it came to rainbow trout, however, Grandpa was a warrior. I was his first mate, 12 years old and itching for fish as I clambered aboard lime green fiberglass on a Saturday morning. Just offshore at Diamond Lake, he transformed into a madman, gunning the motor and letting her rip as he arrowed his craft toward the open water. Leaning into the waves as they slapped against the helm, we hooted into the spray. Grandpa's rubber boots squeaked across the floor of the boat as he cut the motor and retrieved the fishing poles. I wouldn't touch the worms, so he handed me a pole with the triple teaser and hurled the line until the lure plunked in the distance. He threaded his worm and cast the hook, nodding his approval of our position to the prey. We were on the hunt. I got the first bite, my line snapping taut as Grandpa leapt to the gunwale and yelled like a banshee, "Not so fast! Slow but steady." At the first flash of silver, he seized his weathered net and hollered, "Careful now, don't want to lose her." The net dragged the water as he positioned it just so, scrambling for the catch, his boots dancing. With a whoop of victory, he snared flapping fish and swung it over the side. "That's my favorite, Fisher girl," he beamed, tugging my braid before unhooking our dinner. When we got home, he disappeared into the backyard to slit fish bellies and dig out the guts, while Grandma heated the frying pan. As I shucked sweet corn and sliced beefsteak tomatoes, a faint sound tickled my ears. When Grandpa brought home a basket full of rainbows, not even he could help but whistle.
Excellent. Are you quitting? Okay. Thank you. Doug Mathewson is the founder and publisher of the biggest little magazine, Blink Ink. And if you're not familiar with it, all stories are around 50 words. And it's a great magazine to be in. Doug.
Thanks, Paul. Thank you very much. This is part of something that was part of something else. It was part of a novella that was going to get published right at the time of that AWP in Miami, but the whole thing fell apart. And now I think it might be part of something different, but we'll find out. Let's see. The new film was The City of Gold. It had a good cast and plenty of action. Braxton Brothers borrowed against the film to build a huge, great airship, the El Dorado. She was the biggest airship ever built in America, a magnificent vessel that cost several fortunes. The film's star, or mostly star cast, were quickly and quietly loaded onto a train to New York City and sworn to secrecy. The plan was to have a massive press conference as the cast boarded the El Dorado at the Empire State Building airship mast, and then fly to Hollywood for a black tie premiere of City of Gold. The great airship would bask in a swarm of searchlights, and actors and actresses, they'd be shuttled down by individual little golden blimps to the great applause as their names were announced. Well, that was the plan. Now, there wasn't much to see as the train traveled east, first through the desert and then into the darkness as night came on, and she cuddled up in a window seat with a pillow and the blanket that old porter was kind enough to bring. She wanted to tip him, but he just shook his head with the smallest of smiles. "It's all right, miss, no need." And he went on his way down the swaying aisle of the coach car. "Well, Patsy Putty Knife, here you are. You're in the movies, all right, and this is just what you get. Come out west to Hollywood and be in the pictures. You bobbed your hair and you had all those dreams, spending your time imagining your life to come, practicing your graceful special walk and your elegant witty talk, working on improving how you'd flutter your eyes to the nines. But you never got the part of the sophisticated nightclub singer or the glamorous radio personality with the tragic past. Not even the chatty gossip columnist who got to interview with all those other smart girls, not so much as a whisper about being the mysterious beauty with a dark secret. You just were stuck always being somebody's maid or kid's sister, or worse, the abandoned cousin with a leg brace. And for crying out loud, these cheapskate producers, they'd put you in an iron lung just to save a dime and not buy you a dress. Patsy was tired and restless, squirming to find just the right comfortable spot as the old train rattled along. She read her book on and off, and it was a romantic novel set in the Old West. Usually she loved anything about the cowboy days of frontier life. So many stories, so many brave and tragic women, and Patsy knew she could bring them all to life on the big screen, each and every one of them. Tonight she was distracted and just couldn't seem to follow the story. She went back into the back of her book and she had a few things tucked away and absently sorted through them. There was a letter from her brother Tomas, and he seemed happy, doing something he liked and was excited about. Poor kid, he had just the worst of luck, so it was a relief that he had found work on an airship. An apprentice navigator, too. She liked the idea that somebody in the family had an exciting and adventurous life. Tucked in back as well was an ad from the Los Angeles Classifieds. If pictures weren't going to pan out, then she'd have to take up a trade, or at least something to fall back on when times were slow. Unwillingly, she unfolded the newspaper and read the ad's first bold line. It said, "Wanted, taxidermy assistant." Now, there was a full script for their arrival, but no one was fool enough to let the cast members of the City of Gold say whatever came into their heads when they got to meet the press. Braxton Brothers wanted the New York papers to kick up a fuss and to start the ball rolling for the film's opening in a few days. On the train, they went over the arrival script over and over until everybody knew their clever banter and their quick, witty exchanges. They had their blocking down, and the seamstress made sure that the new dresses and the suits all looked fresh and they fit nice too. All fancy stuff for the stars, of course, and smart outfits with matching sun hats for the girls. All clothes better suited to California than cold gray New York, but the point was to stand out. They were selling Hollywood sunshine, so why not? Now, there were 4 big baggage trolleys heaped with empty, expensive luggage that had been rented for the seemingly casual encounter with the press. Alligator suitcases and trunks done out in bright red ostrich hide dominated the lead trolleys that would make a perfect background for Harriet and Buster, better known as Lola Fairchild and original Von Trumbull, and the youngsters, Susan Sterling and Howard Hanker. Now they'd go to the right of the big stars in front of an expensive but more subdued pile of luggage. On the other side were the old comics, Willie and Wizard, who had a pig on a leash and a noisy crate of chickens. Right on time, at the stroke of 11, everyone, the cast, the porters, the Braxton people, made their way up the ramp from the train and through the big archway into the heart of Grand Central. It was all smiles and jokes, and the newspaper fellows, they must have seen the script too, since they played along and asked questions about City of Gold and Hollywood goings-on. Now, movie people batted their conversation back and forth like tennis balls, and flashbulbs popped, and the porters got their cue and started moving the luggage out to the waiting cabs. Now, separate cabs had been arranged to return the rented luggage unharmed. The reporters and photographers were having enough fun to keep them interested. They flirted with Patsy and the girls, especially Dolores, which was nothing new, and snapped some more photos. Lola Reginald posed getting into the first cab, and Susan and Howard, now they got into the next. Willie and Wizard left the crate of chickens just where it sat and took the pig with them in search of a tavern. So this was a cue for Patsy and the other girls, suitcases in hand, to go down a different tunnel and out the side door. Patsy looked around Times Square for about an hour or so, trying her best not to look too much like a tourist. She'd been looking over maps and postcards and newspapers at a newsy shack. There was so much to choose from, and she needed a postcard to send to her landlady in Los Angeles to tell her she wasn't coming back anytime soon. She wished Tomas had some kind of an address. It'd be nice to send him a postcard, letting him know where she was. But who knows where anybody is when they work on an air shop? Hey, sister, you gonna buy something, or should I call you a cab to the library? Yeah, wise guy. I'll buy something, all right. And maybe I'll buy it from that other guy across the street. See if he's got a mouth as smart as yours. I got better. Good price, too. So what do you want? You're new in town wearing that outfit. Where you come from, Brazil? Oh, yeah, you know about Brazil, Weisenheimer, because that's where the nuts come from. All right, sister. You're a smart cookie. What can I do for you? I need a map so I can get around, a map of the whole city, not some tourist one with all that home of the stars baloney, a real map. And I need a newspaper. Which paper? What do you mean, which paper? Today, the paper, and hot off the press too. Don't get excited. What are you looking for in the paper? Prize fights, horse races, baseball? What are you looking for? Not that it's any for business, but I'm looking for a job on Broadway. I left the talkies and came to New York. So I need an actor's job and a place to stay. Cheap, but nice. At least until my ship comes in. You should have said something. You ain't the first, coming here looking up at the bright lights and down at the footlights. Okay, here's today's variety and a decent map of Manhattan. 50 cents. 50 cents? For what? The map even the whole city, it's worth a dime, and a nickel tops of the paper. Not in New York, sister. Tell you what, the map is a good one. It has everything by district and it's a quarter. I'll give you yesterday's variety for free. The classifieds don't change much overnight. Patsy took a quarter from her purse and she put it on the counter, but she kept her finger on it. Okay, deal. As long as you throw in 2 of them Statue of Liberty postcards. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Doug. Lorette, I'm going to mangle your last name. I'm sorry.
No worries. It's Lusajic.
Lorette Lusajet, and I do not have a bio. So you can give us a bio or just read.
Well, sure. Thanks everyone for having me. Karen invited me and she's not here tonight, unfortunately. But I know some of you and I'm the editor at the Ekphrastic Review. And I'm also a visual artist and I write small stories. So tonight I picked one called The Garden, and it was published in the Rathala Review. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. It's called The Garden. The clatter of birds, the scattered blooms. Blue is aching bright over the orchards with handfuls of cellophane clouds close enough to touch. Here is what I will leave behind, a gaggle of gambling ducklings, the claret rounds of shy strawberry wilds. The foxgloves and delphiniums are swaying sentries at the edge of the hill. Today there is the sting of fire from behind the apple trees, a truck bed load of a life smelting to ash. There are mountains more to be hauled to the flames, towers of refuse, dusty brochures and jelly jars, cardboard boxes, newspapers spanning 4 decades. Already the city dump has turned us away after too many trailers of muck and dross. The thrift stores too, finally, have kindly pushed back our bounty. Mother is sniffling and ruddy, wringing her hands and cursing us even as we do all the work. She has not lifted a finger, of course, save to sift through another box of rancid sundries with hopes for salvage. My sister is sorting a heap of rusty wheels and dead electronics for scrap and recycling, and her teenage son is in goggles and gloves, clearing through the 5th freezer. He holds up a bundle of unidentifiable carcass, reads out loud, best before December, 1983. Mother has already hauled off 44 trailer loads into storage and half a dozen to her new house too. To his new life, my father took only a small suitcase and his Bible. I have not been here for years and I will never be here again. We have come apart. We are dismantling, untangling, unraveling. The mounds will follow Mother, spring up wherever she goes. No labor, no fire can erase her or annihilate her need and her rage. Her poison cannot be raised. Here is what I will take with me. The sweet trill of yellow summer warblers, the small triumph of that temporary demolition. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Are you Czech?
Pardon me?
No, I was asking Loretta. I was trying to figure out her last name, if she was Czech.
My husband was from Belgrade, Serbia.
Okay, thank you. I didn't mean to intrude that.
No, not at all.
I loved your story.
Okay, well, it's your turn now, Sarah. Sarah
Okay.
Sarai's poetry, short stories, and micro stories have been published in Fairy Tale Review, Callisto, Tampa Review, Three Penny Review, Story Glossia, Double Back OK, Donkey, Ragzine, Unlikely Stories, and other journals. Her fiction chapbook, The Young Orator, was published by Wing City Press, now Argus. She received an NEH fellowship as well as grants from the Kings County Arts Commission and the Seattle Arts Commission. Well, you, sir. You're up.
Thank you. I received an NEH grant in like 1984. So I had a short spurt and it's been downhill ever since. Okay, so I'm slowly trying to change. I have a novel, I'm not sure, but I'm trying to change each chapter in a kind of a freestanding little thing. So it takes place in a law firm and definitely reflects back on my year of destroying practically a law firm when I was working there. So interlude with a plastic gummy. Edward Henry Singer, Esquire, partner, had a peculiar skill, an amazing ability. Lucy would hand him a piece of paper, a memo, a fax, a single sheet, or several, maybe stapled sheets of paper, and right there before her eyes, presto changeo, the memo or fax would disappear. Edward, his hair white and wispy in the way of physicists and mystics, would stand stiff like a plastic gummy before the fun sets in, then race to the men's room to look for the memo or fax. He would make papers fly, he could disappear them. Make a copy of everything that comes in or goes out and leave it for me. Singer's assistant had instructions, italicized and underlined. Lucy saw the note as evidence of the mystical possibilities of Edward Henry Singer. The man disappeared paper. Frantic, pre-bending Gumby before the fun set in, zealous Edward with white fuzzy hair disappeared memos, faxes, legal forms, receipts, new letters, no matter what, he disappeared them. He could disappear the Encyclopedia Britannica in a large empty room. While Lucy felt guilty about a past thing, she'd known he would be a puppy. She realized the episode was of no importance in and of itself. The partners were of no importance. The secretaries, the runners, duplicating, messengers, HR, the help desk of no importance. The only person of importance in these 14 floors of law was Edward, the ascended master. He was on Earth for a reason, not yet revealed, and everyone in the law firm was in Edward's vortex for a reason, not yet revealed. And there were miracles. The miracle of the receipt that was on his desk and then wasn't. The parable of the man who had tucked 2 legal briefs into a Redwell, in which suddenly there was only blank copier paper. The story of the roll in his desk, which churned into enough pastries to feed 10 strong men, all in one morning. Lucy ran into Gabriella and the ladies were nice to see you, Gabriella thought. Gabriella thought Lucy was weak because she'd had a bad time with her previous boss. Lucy sensed the disapproval, but rose above it. Do you know about Henry Edward Singer? The guy disappears paper right in front of me. Gabriella fought a smile. Lucy had landed on her feet. I've seen it. I've seen him do it. Her tone was not unlike a mother talking to an imaginative 5-year-old. She made a vague promise to call her for lunch. Now, Lucy had a verification. She'd seen it. Gabriella had seen it. How many verifications were needed to authenticate a saint, to canonize an ascended master? The secretary assistant's instructions clearly stated every piece of paper Edward touched needed to be copied. Edward's secretary knew, Gabriella knew, Lucy knew. 3 people knew. She returned to her workstation to see a stranger in dark chinos and a wrinkled seersucker suit jacket, an old man with a cane, falter outside Edward the Ascended Master's office. Can I help you? I need him. The old man pointed to Singer, the master's door. Just knock, she urged. Go on. The old man disappeared during her lunch break. When she returned to work the next day, she was assigned to a new partner, not a saint. Beatification was not hers to witness, not at Harrison Frank LLP. So that's that.
Thank you, Sarah.
Oh, no, I'm not done.
Well, thanking you for that.
Oh,
Stuart.
I'm sorry. So I'm going to read a few poems, which is what I probably write more of these days. I never knew I was going to be a poet. Pigeons are having unprotected sex on top of my air conditioner, upsetting most of my flock who know I run a moral air conditioner at top speed. There's no talking to a pigeon, only arm flappage in a stiff wind. I live by example, which I set. Not in concrete with a palm I set, nor in jello, though I swoon at shimmering's vulnerability of women. I ask pigeons protect themselves from the consequential and inconsequential. I ask women. And I'm going to read one more poem. Okay. And this was in Big City Lit, which I just love very much. Sorry. And so I'm going to be reading in either July or June with Francine. So somewhere in the metropolitan New York area, you'll feel it. Shock White. After my mother died from Jesus, I left my hair color alone. If it's just fucking you want, or all you can handle, a decent cut will do. We laughed, me and her, when she stopped. It was the same faded blonde she'd been covering. Once I quit, my hair prospered gray and white, and where you rub my nape, auburn, like my locks when California sun baked them red. When I was waiting to be something or someone, and still didn't realize the woman who was my mother read only that bit of her job description on good shoes and teaching 4 daughters how to assemble do-it-yourself installations of shame. In the year of COVID fear, all the hairs on my head turned shock white, all white, only white. Back when mom was killing herself in the name of Jesus, my oldest sister jumped shock white. She did that over and over pleading thing. Stop, stop, no changing mom is what I knew. The one time I floated my theory on the limitations of Jesus, who I like outside of church, mom kept dying. Volition and a misreading of human possibility. Are the careless and evil winning? That's it. Thank you.
Wow, very good.
Thank you, Sarah.
That was good.
Andrea, are you scheduled to read tonight?
I'm sorry?
Andrea?
Oh, I wasn't planning on it unless you need somebody to read.
I don't need somebody. I have enough people. I just didn't want to cut you out of,
No, I'm here to listen today.
okay. In that case, Francine Witt, who writes and writes and writes and writes. It gets better and better and better
Yeah.
with every stroke of her pen. Francine.
Thank you. You blessed me, Paul. Okay, I'm going to read two flash fictions. One's called Not Myrtle. Of all the things I could be doing tonight, I have chosen to fall in love with you, which is kind of like swimming bare-assed in the Everglades, alligator snap all around, trying to ignore that you just hit on my best friend Tess, who I plainly saw you buying a dirty martini for, and trying to stand out from the rest, what with Tess always being the beautiful one. And I'm lucky if I even get seen, how we can walk into a bar and me with my cat eyeliner and contoured jawline and Tess in her. I didn't have time to change after work pantsuit, the kind that Hillary would wear, but somehow Tess spills it out in non-Hillary ways, what with her bump of hip and jet of boob, and even with Tess looking over at me as if to say, I'm sorry, I'm so fucking beautiful. And me wanting to say, you don't have to say you're beautiful. Everyone can see it. And martinis are hurling themselves towards her, even though she never asked. And she's all, no, thank you, no, thank you. And this is my best friend, Myrtle, even though that isn't my name. We use pretend names just in case. And it might as well be Myrtle for all anyone even cares. And like I said, I could have been doing any number of things tonight. Crossword puzzles or pulling pimentos out of those olives because really no red food. But here I am giving the universe one more try. And you look at me with that after test in your eyes that I've seen so many times I could put it on a postage stamp. And I see you are a little less alligator than most, because I also saw how you had to throw back a couple of shots before you could walk over to Tess in the first place. Her with her pearl necklace smile and nothing but no thank you for your trouble. Now she turned you towards me and said, this is my friend Myrtle, who is really good at crosswords and eye makeup. And when I finally saw your eyes looking straight at me, I could see a half a dozen alligator bites already in them. And I'm thinking that maybe it might be okay to try to put together all our chewed up parts, you and me, and see if they form one pretty good thing. And thank you. And the other one is called Just Another Road Trip Story. Throw in a woman, throw in a man, throw in a broke down Chevy, throw in a body in the trunk, throw in a gas station, bramble and brush, hopper pumps and rattlesnake shiver, throw in the hot armpit sun, throw in the woman's husband, who of course is in the trunk, throw in the way you just eyed the DoorDash guy. No, that's another story. Throw in Arizona. A road trip is always Arizona. Desert and plump of dune in the background. The man, the woman, the husband in the trunk, pulling into the gas station. Throw in a lonely pop machine where only a quarter will roll out a Coke as crisp and cold as movie Christmas. Throw in the gas station attendant about to open the trunk. I'm going to check the spare for air, he probably says. Throw in the way your husband doesn't look at you anymore, not with anything close to desire. Throw in how you kind of sort of understand the woman in the road trip story and whatever she did to put her husband in the trunk. Throw in the man throwing his meat fist on the trunk. Thanks anyway, old man, we just need gas. Throw in the smell of rotting corpse working into the Arizona air. Throw in how your husband goes corpse when you tell him your life is a desert and his love would be like water. Throw in the gas station attendant going fisheye with suspicion. Throw in how he sidles inside and rings up the sheriff. Throw in a shootout at the end of the road. Throw in your refrigerator, Dune in the background. Throw in no one there to check if anything needs air. Throw in you just sitting there with no idea how this story will end. Thank you.
Thank you, Franny.
Very good. Very, very good.
Thank you.
Very good.
Before Cindy closes out the show, I'd just like to tell you another new magazine came out today. It's called Ruby.
Yay.
I'm in it, Francine's in it. I believe Niles is in it. But there's a lot of people. It's beautiful. It's put out by April Bradley. And you should jump on it and read some good.
And there
content.
there are recipes in it too.
Yes, there are recipes.
Yes, it's a beautiful journal that April pulls together. Just amazing.
What's the name of it?
Ruby, R-U-B-Y, like the jewel. It's all over Facebook and Twitter. So, you know, or just Google Ruby, ruby.com or something like that. But let me see if I can find it.
Or you could find it on Duotrope. Okay, Cindy Rasmus, who's the editor of Yellow Mama. And is a writer of other crime and mystery novels and stories. He's going to close out the show tonight.
Thanks, Paul. I love reading with you guys. And especially I wanted to read tonight because last week was my birthday and it sucked because I wound up with COVID. I found out at 4 a.m. So I was locked up through the whole weekend, had to cancel my plans. But that's all right. I'm so happy to read with you guys tonight. I wanted to read this old story that was published in Ziggo to My Coffee years ago and then reprinted in Yellow Mama. It's called Birthday Land. I think you guys will love it. Why me, you think? By the looks in their faces, they're thinking the same thing. The birthday elves. One blue, one pink, named Bluebell and Pinky, like the lollipop guilders from Oz, but cooler. Pinky grants Chick's birthday wishes. Bluebell is antsy, like he's dying to go outside for a smoke. That sucks, you think, about Birthday Land. Even in this magical place topped with buttercream frosting, lit by blazing birthday candles, you can't smoke inside. Bluebell Scout says he's with you. In his sheer pocket, you spot Marlboros. You wouldn't mind lighting up yourself. This year, you're the lucky one, Pinky says in a falsetto voice. Our honored guest, Bluebell says. Yeah, right, you think. A trick, this feels like. Something Javier and that sneaky bitch Mandy cooked up to pay you back for his birthday surprise, torching their truck. Your smile scares the elves. Bluebell pats his Marlboros nervously. This bitch, his phony smile says, is crazy. And how old are we today? Pinky asks you. These fucking elves. What do they know about love and revenge? That feeling like somebody drilled a hole in your heart. How old? Comes out even squeakier. You can't remember. 35? 55? On Javier's birthday, 3 weeks back, you colored your hair. Just in time, you made it back inside. As the flames rose from the SUV, you were squirting black dye on your roots. In the hallway, heavy footsteps, shouts! Your maniacal laughter drowned out your music. Simon and Garfunkel. Triumphant you felt, but also mellow. I don't know, you say 14? The elves don't get it. Would you like an iPod? Pinky asks. For your birthday treat? Bluebell sticks on his headphones, turns on his own iPod. Outside carolers sing happy birthday in the distance. Soon they'll be here. Fuck no, you tell Pinky. Bluebell shuts off his iPod. Okay, Bluebell takes control now. It's like this, birthday girl. You smirk. From outside, smells of sugary frosting and cigarettes waft in. He's tortured by the smoke and you love it. A grown-up girl deserves a grown-up gift. Out comes the Marlboros. Smiling, he takes something out of the pack. A lotto ticket. He unfolds it, hands it to you. Congratulations, he says smugly. You're rich, Pinky titters. Javier, you think, would kiss your ass. Already you hear his footsteps on the stairs. He dumped Mandy fast for this crazy rich bitch, even after you torched his truck. A mega millionaire. A soft knock on your door. Mommy, Javier purrs. A star. No, shithead, you think. I'm not home. I'm in Birthday Land. where nothing is real, not even you. No, you say, through clenched teeth, I don't want money. The elves just stare. People using me? You see it now. A yellowed Lamborghini with him at the wheel. Suing me for torching their truck. The elves look confused. What I do want, they lean forward expectantly, is the head of Javier Rodriguez. What? They say together. His head, you say. You know, that thing on his neck with the brain inside. They look at each other, then back at you. A picture of it, you mean? Pinky asks. No! They jump. I want his head cut off that skinny neck right here on this table. Outside, the carolers are getting closer. How old are you now? They're singing to somebody less crazy than you. You see it now. Javier's head on the pink birthday platter where your cake should be. Black eyes like marbles. Glasses askew. The blow from the axe made them shift. That bad haircut she gave him, Delilah to his Samson, she'd snipped off his balls along with those curls. Mommy, his dead lips say. Smiling, you lean back. Yeah, you whisper. The carolers are here, but they can't get inside. Pinky won't let them. With incredible strength, he leans back against the door, holding it shut. Bluebell jams all the Marlboros in his mouth at once and lights them one by one. Eyes wild, he puffs harder and harder. Oh yeah, you say. That's what I want. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Cindy.
You got to come out of your shell, Cindy.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, all, for coming.
Thank you.
tonight. Anyone that wants to read the future readings, please email me, paul@paulbeckman.com. And good writing to all, and thank you.
Well, we'd love to hear you.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you
Thanks.
very much. Thanks. Good night, all. Take care. Bye-bye.
Night, guys. Thank you.
Good night. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
Everyone. Great
Thank you,
story.
Paul.
awesome.
Good night,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Oh,
Oh, I
Nice
love
to
you
see
guys.
everybody. Yeah, thanks, Paul. Good reading, everybody.
Thank you. You too. Love you guys.
Francine, you got to get me that story.
Thank you, Paul.
Which-
Good night,
which-
everybody.
which- Which story was that, Paul?
If I knew what story it was, I wouldn't be asking you.
It wasn't one of those, it wasn't one of those two?
No.
Okay.
Oh,
Which-
Alright.
Read to us. Read to us, Paul.
Pardon me?
Yeah, please. Yeah.
Please. It was my birthday. I gotta hear you.
Oh, yeah. Happy
Oh, no, I
birthday.
can't read.
Happy birthday.
Happy
Thank you.
birthday. Hope you have a
Thank
great
you.
year.
Birthday present to you is just a second night.
Made my birthday, Paul.
Okay.
Love you guys.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Cindy. Linda, nice to hear you again. I haven't seen you.
Yeah, it was great to see everybody. I haven't seen Francine in a while. And Sarah, I haven't seen you in a while. So good to
See,
see
I'm
you
looking
both.
forward to 10 by 10.
What?
Yeah, I'll send you some stuff.
I'm
I
looking
think-
forward to 10 by 10.
Really-
Yeah.
I haven't been on Zoom in a long time. It was great to see everybody. Good night.
Mhm.